guys, this is Matthew with Vlogger One-on-One. Today is a very interesting episode. For those of you that don't know, Vlogger One-on-One is an interview series where I talk to people that make videos online. Today I'm going to meet a very special friend of mine. I do a series called Matt's Reef Tank, and it's about, surprise, surprise, reef tanks. And the inspiration for that series was brought on by a fellow that you're about to meet. His name is Stan.
Greenhouse. This is Tidal Gardens, like the main greenhouse facility here, and it's probably this little backyard project that I had going on for about 10 years. It's finally grown up and got enough momentum that it could replace my day job.
This whole area is called Tidal Gardens, but it's also the name of your channel. If people want to find you, go to youtube.com and check out Tidal Gardens. A little bit different than most vloggers. Most vloggers record their life, record kind of what their interests are, but this is actually your business.
Right.
So the vlog stemmed after the business was started.
Right. So back then, nobody even had cameras that could record video. And I had one of like the really early Sonys that had like the 3.5-inch floppies that could actually record video. And then this YouTube thing came about, and I was just thinking about having some videos just to put on my website. That was it. I didn't speak or anything. I just wanted to show some cool stuff and just kind of incorporate it with some like just rollover text, and that was it. That's all my expectations. Mm-hmm. And I didn't expect more than 10 people to ever see it. And then lo and behold, a few years later, there's like tens of thousands of subscribers, and it's become practically a community unto itself.
If you guys are interested in corals or polyps, and you go on to YouTube and you search any sort of SPS or LPS, if you guys don't know what that terms, that's okay. But
aquarium corals,
Tidal Gardens will pop up. You're one of the chief purveyors of the beauty of corals. What would set your videos apart from other people in the aquarium industry that put out videos for reefing or aquatics?
The whole video making thing became a secondary hobby that kind of sprung out from this. I got into photography and videography. Just with any kind of hobby related things, I tend to go overboard. So if there's one thing that's going to separate my channel from other people's channels, I will spend a ridiculous amount of time trying to capture very high-end video. So I went out and bought an insane cinema camera to shoot 4K 60. It's like the sort of things that you can actually make a motion picture with. And does the channel justify such an investment? Hell no. But that's the commitment, I guess, that I'm bringing. I will do what it takes to capture the best video of these things.
How often do you upload new content on your channel? How often do people expect to see something new?
I try really hard to get about a video per week, and usually that slacks a little bit into a video every 2 weeks, but I try to stick to that timeline as best as possible.
As we sit, how many subscribers do you have on your channel?
40 something, so it's maybe 42, 43,000.
The cool thing about your channel is the topic is unique. There's not a lot of people that are focusing on the beauty of individual corals. You do go over maintenance and these kind of hobbyist topics, but I think your claim to fame is capturing the actual beauty of a piece of coral and explaining about it.
Yeah, and I think that some of my content tends to be a little more, I guess, what's called long tail. So it might not be topical like, oh, this is what happened to me on Wednesday, and well, my tank crashed, or I'm going through some lighting problem. It'll be something more like a spotlight on a specific kind of coral. So perhaps maybe 3 months from now, maybe 3 years from now, somebody will acquire that coral, want to know more, and rediscover my video on that. A lot of my stuff isn't exactly like current events, vlogging style, but it's designed to be more of like a repository of coral info, I guess.
You could watch his channel and not necessarily have a reef tank in your house and still appreciate it for the sheer fact that he's capturing the beauty of these corals. One thing that he does is he does a live stream. How often do you do live streams?
So we try to shoot for a live stream once a month, typically towards like the last weekend of a month.
He sells via the videos. The videos are a vehicle for you to show people what you have in inventory.
Yeah, right? So in many ways it's kind of like, if you can imagine like a QVC for corals.
Yeah.
We do like a 3-hour show. Oftentimes we have guests as well, so this coming live show,
This will come out after, so I'll leave a link to it, right? You can still view the live stream.
They're all still published if you just want to come and take a look and hang out.
Yeah, so we're going to do the St. Patty's Day coral extravaganza. What is some techniques that you've learned using such a micro lens and capturing something so small?
The absolute most important thing is you have to control movement and vibration of the camera itself. So there's no hand holding or anything like that going on. The number one thing is to use a tripod.
Yeah.
Now, if you are insistent that you want to incorporate movement of the camera into all this, have fun, because now you're talking about motorized sliders and a lot more advanced equipment.
Yeah.
But really it is all about stability, because when you're looking at something like super tiny, any little jitter that goes on in your camera will ruin the shot.
Yeah.
So it's all about stability.
We're going to take a look at his gear inside a little later. We can take a look. Although you do have a slider here. Before we go inside, can you show me this? Yeah.
We keep this covered just because this is a greenhouse, things get gross.
So this is a second shooter, and this is a Kessler adapter.
Well,
is this whole thing a Kessler crane?
Is a Kessler product.
Okay.
And the motorized control head is called their second shooter. It's a 3-axis thing. You can kind of see here. There's a slide, a pan, and a tilt control.
Okay.
And you can, using this controller, just have really smooth, really controlled movements, up, down, left, right, pan. This is wonderful for incorporating like that type of camera movement on a really like detailed micro scale.
So you got your macro lens, you're dialed really deep into that coral, and maybe you'll squirt some food into the coral and have it feeding while it goes.
And to do that like handheld would be a ridiculous challenge.
What do you see the future of your channel? Where do you see it going in the next 5 years?
When I originally built the greenhouse, never once did I think, you know what I need in this greenhouse? A studio. And so it's so hard to predict, but if anything, I would probably look to do more species-specific tanks or theme-based tanks and kind of like walk through the building process of those and kind of have those be like their own like recurring characters of sorts on the channel. So that, you know, people could say, oh, here's an update on a seahorse tank, let's say, or a shark tank maybe. Things like that. I would probably say.
Is there a shark tank in your future in the upgrade?
I hope not. that sounds like so much work.
If somebody comes to your channel, they've never seen you before, they really want to get to know your channel, what would be one video that you would recommend that I can link to that would be like, this is the one they want to watch? It's got some beauty, it's got whatever you want to kind of tell them what Tidal Gardens is about.
I would say the 5 tips for beginners. It is equal parts eye candy, it's equal parts good information for somebody that's looking to get into the hobby, and it's equal parts like edgy and hate attracting for just some of the recommendations I make. So if you're looking for just like a particular viewpoint that's going to have all types of argument mixed in, as well as the visual and stuff that would be, I guess, accessible for people that haven't done the hobby, that's a good place to start.
So we're gonna leave your palace of aquitude and we're gonna go inside and we're gonna take a look at your gear. So let's take a look.
Sounds good.
All right, now we're inside Than's house and he's gonna show us his setup and see what he uses to record those beautiful corals.
So in the past couple months, I upgraded. This is a C100. This is like Canon's entry-level cinema camera. I've used this camera now for about maybe 3 years or so, and I continue to use this when I do live streams, especially for the live show that's coming up, things like that. But recently I did upgrade to this guy here, which is the C200. This guy does 4K. Basically, I was pre-ordered for this camera the minute that it was released.
So you've been filming 4K for about a year?
I'd say so,
okay.
Yeah. That sounds about right. The image quality is magnificent, and that's been game-changing for me. But unfortunately, I've had to upgrade literally everything about my workflow too. I had to get a new computer, new storage, everything to accommodate just the files and stuff like that this thing generates.
What about lenses? What do you use? What's your go-to lens?
So, I'm not a huge lens junkie, but the two that I go to, the first one, this is a Sigma 18 to 35 millimeter. Now, the thing about this lens that's really cool is that it's an f1.8 through the entire zoom range. This thing can let in a ton of light. So this is like the Prince of Darkness. If you crank this thing up to 1.8, you can practically see in the dark with this. Reef aquariums are actually very dim. Like most people don't really know that, but having a fast glass, very versatile glass like this is very nice and helpful. This thing here, the 100 millimeter.
I love that lens.
Macro L, and it's image stabilized. And for video, it's a godsend. And lastly, I have an image stabilized 10 to 18. So this is like a super wide angle. The image quality going from like this down to this, it's noticeable, especially with color and stuff. You see like more vivid colors with this than this. But this guy here has an image stabilizer and has a what's called an STM, a stepper motor. And so this thing is dead silent when it's like focusing and everything.
Yeah.
And there's like special autofocus features that are only in STM lenses with this body. So that's kind of my lens breakdown, but really it's this trio.
So if you're interested in watching Dan's video, I'll leave all the links in the description. You can check out the video that he recommended to take a look at. If you are a vlogger out there and you're interested in joining and being part of the Vlogger One-on-One series, send out a contact and maybe our paths shall cross and we'll do a video together. But otherwise, go online, check out Tidal Gardens. You won't be disappointed. Till next time, Jayoe, take it easy. Bye-bye.